I stand here today to speak on behalf of the Governor of the Central Bank, who is unavoidably absent. And again, I think we're here before the program commenced. We're more like we're winking in the dark. And so we're not late because the governor is never late to a program. So, but again, it is good that we listen to the panelists before we say some few words that I will speak on behalf of the governor. So I want to stand on existing protocol. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the governor is pleased that Afrinvest is embarking on this project for a number of years, creating a forum where investors, technocrats, and businessmen can come together and looking at the financial sector report and discussing and learning from all that happened in the banking sector. I'm hopeful that deliberations at this event will contribute positively not only to the ongoing discourse on the recapitalization exercise, but also achieving the target of this administration. The keynote address is very apt, talking about the recapitalization and the $1 trillion economy. We are glad that the present administration has set a discussion point where we are all aspiring to, and we're also glad that the CBN has become a trailblazer in igniting the activities in the banking industry, which is a very huge supporter of investment business in Nigeria. As a background, I want to refer to the CBN declaration in November last year, when the CBN governor addressed the banking community and informed the entire nation of the plan of the CBN to raise the capital of the banking sector in Nigeria. And it was not an ambush. It's not like one of the panelists has said. Thank you. It's not like one of the panelists has said, we don't just come and announce a policy. We give notice, and then I think the banking sector is also aware that this was announced much earlier. And so when we came out in March this year to actually bring out the guideline, it was not a surprise at all to the banking industry. And that is why a lot of them have coped with the plans. Even before the announcement was made finally, before the guidelines were released, many of them have already organized themselves to plan on how to raise their capital. But again, the current team at the CBN came with very clear objectives and priorities. It is to achieve monetary and price stability, to achieve a stable exchange rate, to control inflation, create an enabling environment for businesses and individuals, adopt measures to tackle institutional deficiencies, restore corporate governance, strengthen regulations, and implement prudential guidelines and policies. It is also to promote sustainable and inclusive economic growth. These were the points that the governor came with, and it's very clear. And so far, we can attest that the present team at the CBN has made very credible effort to achieve these priorities. After taking stock of the different activities and initiatives in the CBN, the current team introduced various policy initiatives to strengthen the banking system and enhance its capacity to serve the envisioned larger economy. In this regard, an important policy initiative, which is the banking sector recapitalization exercise, was bet. It requires all commercial, merchant, and non-interest banks operating in the country to increase their paid-in capital to levels considered suitable for their license categories and authorization. And a period of 24 months was given to actualize this objective. Banks they have different options, as we all know, to meet this requirement. A lot of them are doing that already, either through the issuance of ordinary shares, public offers, right issues, private placements, mergers and acquisition, or even those who are not able to meet the current capital category they are in, they are also allowed to downgrade, meaning a national bank can downgrade to a regional bank and yet be effectively serving the Nigerian people. Now, what is this need? Why do we actually come out with this? There are a number of things which are always, we need to just refresh and remind ourselves that some of the reasons are for macroeconomic development. We've just come out of the COVID pandemic, and a lot of businesses went under, and so it's, the macroeconomic development plunged across the globe. We also look at the outcome of the stress test. This is to remind us that the Central Bank of Nigeria normally carries out what we call the stress test, and it is just to check how the financial institutions could react to shocks at different levels in the economy. And we do that, and we give the result. From the results of management and decisions are taken to ensure that in the event that there are various shock levels in the economy, whether the financial institutions will be able to survive. And that was one of the reasons that informed our decision to increase the share capital, knowing that a lot of them will need this liquidity to be able to survive in the ensuing economic tendencies. The impact of the recapitalization program, we all know, it is definitely going to increase the lending capacity of the banks, because liquidity definitely is going to empower them to lend more to relevant sectors, even like the panelists have initiated to us. Definitely, there are going to be increase in foreign investment. We are already seeing them. The foreign direct investments are already coming in. The banks can attest to that. Even the foreign exchange liquidity, we can see that a lot of them are, through the certificate of capital importation, they are bringing in a lot of forex into the economy, which is going to also affect positively the liquidity situation in the forex market. And definitely and above all, it's going to contribute to the GDP growth that we are talking about, supporting the present administration. Not to talk about also better risk management tendencies, improved credit ratings for some of these banks. Because of the forex credit they take, the credit ratings are very, very important. And also, again, dilution of shares and ownership for those who are even smaller investors. Again, another opportunity has come for the smaller investors to be able to own part shares in the financial institutions, which we know have always been doing very well. The equity market also is it's already been bolstered. And I'm happy my friend and the DG SEC is here. We have always discussed this, that this activity is going to increase so much tendencies and further activities in the capital market. Now, how far have we gone? A lot of people have been asking. This guideline came out a few months ago. Already, at least 4 banks are currently raising funds through the capital market. We all know them. Some of us have bought into them already. We are currently working with the banks, reviewing their capital plans and other ancillary activities relating to the capital raise. We are also conscious of the fact that there are capitals that are going to be imported into the country, especially from foreign direct investors. And we are giving them assurance, we are working on the policies for that, that in the event that they are not able to be taken up, they will not suffer any form of devaluation loss. They'll be able to go back home with their currency at the value at which they brought them into the country. We have taken note of that, and we're working with SEC to ensure that that is done. In conclusion, I want to say that the CBN will continue to collaborate with other institutions, namely the NDIC, the SEC, the NGX, fiscal authorities, even the National Assembly, because at various times we need to also brief the National Assembly on why these steps have been taken. The Bankers Committee to also ensure a very successful exercise. We rigorously enforce our fit and proper persons criteria for new shareholders, for board members, for senior management, to ensure that there are no illicit funds that will flow into the system. There are no uncleared persons that will take possession of the Nigerian capital, Nigerian financial institutions, and also to ensure that even the valuation of a bank's post-merger balance sheets are assured by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Investments in the Nigerian banks have historically yielded very high returns. Over the past years, between 2010 and 2015, records have shown that investment in bank shares yielded an average of 17% per annum. So the recapitalization exercise of the Nigerian banking sector is a pivotal strategy aimed at further strengthening the resilience of the Nigerian banks and promoting sound financial system in Nigeria. Importantly, it will support the government's goal to achieve a GDP of $1 trillion by 2030. And as I listen to the panelists today, we are glad that the capitalization drive has become a factor that has ignited a lot of activities in all the sectors already. Starting from the capital market, we paid visits to the FIRS, we've talked to the Corporate Affairs Commission, we are talking to the NDIC, and we can see that a lot of activities have snowballed as a result of this policy that the CBN has announced. Let us therefore join hands to make this exercise a huge success for the greater good of our motherland. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria.